We've got some fresh.
Hey, I'm Luis.
And I'm Luis.
You're listening to the Content is Profit podcast.
And we spent the last 4 years learning the strategies and techniques from some of the top marketers in the world on how to create content that turns into profit.
If you'd like to learn more how to turn that content into profit, go to contentisprofit.com. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Go visit right now. And also, please go to Facebook, search for Content is Profit, and join the group, because at the moment that you're listening right now, it's already out and popping.
We are going. Fonzie, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about the inside look at the capitalist pigs universe and mind.
Ooh, baby.
Interesting.
Do you like that headline?
Yes, I do.
Is my headline game better?
Kinda. Yeah, debatable. We'll let the public decide. Please
let me know.
Let us know. Send us a DM. Is my brother's headline game getting better? Also, do we have a sponsor today?
Oh, man, thank you. Glad you asked, man. And we do. Is your one and only, the BIZBROS. Guys, thank you so much. Yes, and we're bringing content momentum to you. So if you have a long-form piece of content like the video that you are watching right now or listening to, and you want to amplify your message, bring it to us, send it to us, and we'll be able to create amazing value-packed assets that you can send through the interwebs like those little minions and amplify your message. Did I do it right? Did I nail it?
That was pretty good. That was pretty good.
Let's go.
Where do they go if they want to be a part of this incredible team?
Very easy peasy, guys. Just slide into our DMs on social media at BIZBROSCO everywhere. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Yes, that's
Everywhere.
where you go. Everywhere. Guys, go ahead and subscribe. Smash that subscribe button and follow us on social media at BIZBROSCO, like I just told you, so you don't miss any of the episodes. I got this right. I need some air.
I needed to change the flow to see what happened. I mean, for those that are listening continuously, I usually do the sponsorship.
I just nailed it. Nailed it.
That was pretty good. Good job. Fist bump. Guys,
go.
our only ask for you, besides going and join our Facebook group, Content is Profit, is to please share this message with somebody that you think and know this message will, create some sort of impact in their life.
That's right.
And since we're looking to grow the podcast as well, please go and leave a 5-star review. Just take 2 minutes, leave a review. We would love you forever. And if it's some constructive criticism, leave it too. We are always ready to learn some more, guys.
Yeah. One of the things we wish we would realize earlier was the power of teamwork. We often found ourselves working on the same tasks, jumping on the same calls, pretty much doing everything together. But a lot has changed thanks to today's guest and his epic team.
That's right. We met at Steve Larsen's event. He was actually one of the brains, the masterminds behind the entire operation that brought 700 people into one room. That was pretty cool. It was some of the coolest 700 people that are on earth, probably. Let me tell you, that's no rookie move. In fact, he is full of pro level achievements.
Oh yeah, he's actually sold his first business when he was in college, epic, and now he's a piece of the business of one of the biggest marketers in the online world. Oh,
let me rephrase. He's a key piece.
He's a key piece.
Maybe
what did I say?
Key piece.
The with THE in caps. Okay,
caps.
Good. Oh, not to mention the most pro level achievement of all is he got beat. He's never got beat on an arm wrestling match until after high school. I just had to read that twice.
Yeah,
because it's pretty epic.
That is.
We should challenge him to.
We need to talk more about that, and definitely next time we see him, we're gonna challenge him on an arm wrestling match. It's definitely gonna be the two of you, the two of us at the same time against him. Right. But please welcome incredible entrepreneur, fantastic husband and father, and Boise's favorite arm wrestler, Coulton Woods!
What's up, guys? Dude, I'm so stoked to be on here.
What's up, Coulton?
Man, I just want to put this out there. We just crushed that intro, man. I think, we did, right? I hope so. It's gonna pat our backs.
Yeah, we gotta pat our own backs sometimes.
Dude, Coulton, we're honored and excited that you're here with us in the show, man. You guys... You're a big part of this, man. You are a big part of why this is happening, why we've been able to, grow, not just personally, but on the business side as well. So we just want to say thank you. A big old thank you.
Dude, I'm so glad I was able to be a part of it. Like, you guys told me a little bit about a couple weeks ago, your story, and I was like, man, I didn't realize that was as much of an impact on you guys, or with what you're doing now. So I'm glad to be part of it. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean that event, Coulton, where we met you, that we will never forget that moment in our life. Like there was so many feelings inside of us that day, those few days, because the event was a few days long, and we will never forget it. You know, like I'm gonna be honest. Like the first time I saw Steve, I was like, oh, like I just saw it. I just thought it was Steve, right? And honestly, like it wasn't until that event that, you know, we met you, we met Austin at the moment, it was in the team too, that I was like, the importance of the team, how important it is, right? Like each of you have your own specific roles, and each of you brings so much value into the entire equation. So I just wanted to say thank you, because again, those days we will never forget, and we will always speak about those days for
and
sure.
We'll share that story on and you know how bad our sweaty pits were at the time because of the nerves of making that decision in just a bit. But before that, dude, Coulton, like, we want to learn about you, your story, like where you coming from, you know, because when I first saw you, you were like that peaceful guy that controlled the entire room and the whole process. And I'm like, and when I was like super nervous, they're like, just go find Coulton, man. Like, he's going to make you feel better. And, you know, I know there's a story of like how you got to that point too, and how you are being today very successful at what you do. So I would love to learn a little bit more. And I'm sure the audience would love to learn a little bit more about that too.
Awesome. Yeah, for sure. I can dive into that a little bit. It's, you know, it's an interesting journey, and I feel like it always kind of just builds on itself. And I know you guys know that, and you've seen that. I'm sure you're like looking back like, oh man, like if we wouldn't have done that, we probably wouldn't be here where we're at now.
Yeah.
Totally happens. But the key is to I just did stuff and just went for things and made things happen. And then like things open up for you, which is pretty cool. So back in college, like you mentioned, I sold my first business back in college. Funny enough, that's really like the only one I've ever sold, but it sounds cool, you know?
Yes.
Funny. So when I was in college, all I ever wanted to do was own a business. Really, like I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I thought it was gonna be super cool. And so I went into business management, emphasizing entrepreneurship. Funny enough, the number one question I got asked when people asked me like what I was emphasizing in college, they're like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, well, I'm going in for entrepreneurship. So I want to own my own business, you know? And everybody would look at me with like this look of like, you want to do what? Like, are you crazy? And then they would ask me, they're like, why would you want to do that? Don't you know that like 90% of businesses fail? And I was like, yeah. At first it really like, it hit me. I was like, crap, man, I'm going into like a failing area, you know? And after a while it hit me and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I would rather be at the top of that failing business than you working for the business that's going to fail. And I remember I'm like, you're going to work for that business. You're going to work for a business. It doesn't matter where you're at. And the lights that I would see go off in people's head then was just like priceless. Cause then they're like, oh crap, like that's so true. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
But people would always ask me what I want to do. I wanted to own a business. I think it was like the second semester in college. I decided to take a business class. It was like, you're going to start an online business, you know? And I was so stoked for it. Like, this is my first business class. I'm so excited. And I get there and it was like, yeah, we'll like figure something out and just kind of make it easy. And like, it'll be okay. You know, you guys won't really have to like start anything crazy. And I was like, what? Like, are you kidding me? Like, I want to start something. Let's do it.
Send me the crazy.
Right? Like, let's go for it. Funny enough, I happened to get a teacher that owned his own business and it was his first like semester teaching it.
Yeah.
And so I got really lucky to be in there with him because he's like, no, I actually want you guys to do something. Most other teachers don't really like care, but I want you to actually do something.
Yeah.
So I was trying to figure out what to do and I was racking my brain on all these ideas and I always have ideas and I'm like, I could do this, you know, and like in that, but I need like $10 million to start it, you know? So I probably shouldn't do that in college because I don't have any money.
Yeah.
So I remember I was walking down the campus just on a sidewalk and I pulled out my phone and it was kind of those times when like you pull out your phone but like throw it at the same time, so like you're like we're trying to pull it out but it like caught somehow and just like flies through the air.
Yeah, like extra tight pants, that type of day. You got extra tight pants and then you pull it out with too much force, not enough grip, and it just like and then you see everything in slow motion fall. Like, no.
Yeah, like, wait. It was totally that. And back then, the iPhone 4 was the thing, and that's what I had. And it's just solid glass on both sides. So, like, you drop, and I didn't have a case on it. I was not too smart on that. But, so I pull it out in like slow motion, watch it just fly through the air. And it just smashes on the concrete and just slides. It just keeps going. Like, it's
a slow motion too, probably. Just
yeah. Everybody around you's like, oh.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but it always lands facing down, so you cannot see the damage until you pick it up.
I honestly think that's by design by those companies. It's like, you know, like those cats that just like turn around and always land on their feet, while the phones just turn around and land on their freaking screen.
Yeah, it makes it makes it more emotional, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was totally it. Like, I walk up and I'm like, there's no way this is not messed up. And I pick it up, and sure enough, it is just like white. Like, it's so broken that I can't even like see through it. It was bad. And me being a poor college student, I'm like, well, I don't want to pay somebody a ton of money to fix this, so I'm going to figure it out on my own. And I'm like, I'm smart-ish, maybe. So maybe I can figure this out. So I go and I search a couple things. I figure it out. I buy a part off of like eBay, and it comes in the mail, and I'm all excited, and I get it together, and it actually worked. Like, I actually fixed it, you know? I'm like, this is cool. And it was like the day before we had to submit the idea. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start a phone repair business. Just for the heck of it. Like, it's fun. I enjoyed it. It was way cool. It was like a cool little puzzle to like figure out how it worked.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm going to start this, you know? And we had to like prove that we did something. Yeah. And so I actually ran an ad for like $50 saying, hey, you know, I can fix your smartphone for like $10 off. Like, here's a coupon. Like, I didn't know marketing at all back then.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, $10 off today. Come in.
Yeah.
And I think I bought like 3 or 4 different screens. So I had something on hand that was like the most popular stuff.
Yeah.
You know, back then there weren't that many options for phones.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I think I had 3 people respond.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, I'd love to get my phone fixed. And one guy brought in like 3 devices. I was like, dang, dude, like, you got some problems breaking all your stuff, but okay. So I ended up fixing it. And it was like I fixed his iPhone 4S. I remember it. And it was a little bit different than the 4, and I kind of forgot what was different, but I fixed it in front of him. So I was like sweating bullets the whole time. I'm like, yeah, I've totally done this. I don't know. Like, I'm like just praying that it works.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I get it back together and it works. It took me way longer than it should have because, you know, he's talking and I'm like sweating. And I give it back to him and I'm like, holy cow, like, okay, yeah, I got it to work. Here you go, dude.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'll bring over the other ones later. So he brought them over later. I made like $500 off of that, like one message, you know?
Wow.
I'm just like, this is kind of cool. Like, okay, I could do this. Fast forward a year later, I meet up with the guy. We end up opening a brick and mortar store.
Wow.
In our college town. And I just got people coming in every day, just all day, every day. Like, we're just fixing phones. And after a couple of years, it was like a guy came in and said, hey, we want to buy you out and have you start working with us. And we ended up doing it. I didn't want to do it at first. My business partner did. Yeah. And because we were like 50-50 on it, I'm like, well, I guess we got to. So we did. And it was a really good learning experience. I definitely learned more from that experience than just going to college and stuff. But it was a good time. So that's kind of how I got started in business. And that's about the time I met Steve Larsen, because we went to the same college, actually.
Okay.
And he was a killer. He was doing stuff. I was talking about stuff. And we ended up getting together after I sold it and trying some online stuff, which was like our first funnel ever built way back in the day.
Coulton, you have no idea how relatable that story is, first off, because, you know, at some level, I think every entrepreneur or, you know, everybody that goes through college and those classes can definitely relate. Like, to me, like, same thing. Like, I went through business school. Like, I honestly don't know how I graduated because I don't remember
Same here.
anything there, but my most impactful classes there were like the entrepreneurship side of things, where like you actually have to take action and do something, right? Like, and we work with some local businesses, and that was the thing that planted the seed to then go out and execute, right? And you know, we share the story where we started as a vinyl sticker company with our roommate, right? And then 2 weeks after that, we upgraded to making T-shirts, right?
Yeah.
And
Unfortunately, we didn't sell that company.
exactly.
But it was a good learning experience.
But it was a really good learning experience, and I think we learn more through that, not only like on the operation side of things, but internally, like how do we, like what do we enjoy doing, like, right? Like I would never ever do again the squeegee thing for a T-shirt, like at that point we're like, we're never gonna be making T-shirts again. Today the opportunity presented to where like that might be full circle and we go back to that. but we learned so many important lessons through that, and then every other business opportunity that we had right after that led us to this point, right? Like and I think nothing beats that. And you know, your story on how the phone just like flies over, and then you identify a problem in that second, and you're like, I can fix this. And then executing with a guy right in front of you is like, you know, for those doing online stuff, is like literally creating your product or doing your launch right in front of them, right? There's so many relatable aspects here, and very amazing lessons that you share through this.
Yeah, I think that's a great lesson from your story, which is, you know, so oftentimes the business that you're looking to start is to solve that problem that you solve for yourself, right? Like you got that expertise at that point. You're like, okay, I've done it. I solved it for myself. I'm sure some other people out there, you know, have that same problem. For you was, I'm guessing some other people have the tighter pants too, and you know, and they pull out their phone out of their pockets with too much force type of problem, and then they break their screens. So you know, it is very interesting, because a lot of people, I feel, when they come, you know, turning this into the online space, they are pretty much like asking themselves all the time, what should I do? What should I do? What, you know, what should I build my business? And it's like, whoa, what problems have you solved for yourself, right? Yeah. And probably you can go and find a group of people that you can solve that same exact problem, right? Now, whether that problem is one that you can monetize in different ways or a lot, right? That is a different question. But I think it's pretty important that you went with something that you did and solved for yourself. Now, you said you had a lot of ideas and that you still do. And I'm pretty curious, how do you prioritize those? Because in this world where, in the online marketing world specifically, where the shiny object syndrome is very, very real, and there's opportunities presenting left and right all the time, you know, people tend to get distracted, and they tend to, maybe this that I'm doing has, you know, it's not working because it hasn't given me any results quick enough. So let me try something else. I have this other idea. How do you prioritize those ideas, or do you even take them into consideration at times?
No, yeah, we totally do. We take them into consideration, but that's the part where, I mean, back in college, I remember I was like, oh, what if I start taking all the oil from all of the fast food places and make biodiesel out of it? Like, I don't know why I got that idea, but I was like, let's go for it, you know? And then I had a friend that was a farmer, and I was like, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think? And he's like, I would never buy it. And I'm like, oh, how come, you know? And he's like, I did it once, or somebody did it to us once, but it ruined all our tractors because it's too cold in this area. And I'm like, oh, that's a really good point. Like, I had no idea. Yeah. But what's the key with that is like, okay, this idea, now I had tons of them back then, and I feel like we kind of evolve as we go on. You start with some basics, some easier ones, you know, but they're usually more time consuming. Yeah. Which is cool. That's fine. If you're getting started, go for it, because you'll learn like, I don't really want to do all this time consuming stuff that I don't really enjoy it. Then you hire somebody out for it, or you just pivot and do something different. But for us, we have, I mean, Steve is like an idea generator. Like, he can seriously like come up with ideas all day long, every day. It's awesome. And some of us just have that, you know, it's totally cool. Others, it may feel like it's harder, but for, you know, Steve and I, we just come up with ideas. But what's cool is if you know Alex Sharfin, he talks about black ops. No black ops. Like, does it take away from what you're doing right now? Is it a completely different project or separate project that's going to take you away from what you're focusing on right now?
Yeah.
That's called a black op. Like, we don't do black ops because it's too much of a side tangent. Now you can build them into your next quarterly planning. So we do quarterly kind of planning, whatever it may be. But when you come together for the next quarterly planning, you say, okay, guys, this is an idea I had. Does it fit in with what we're doing? And sometimes it may be like, well, yeah, it kind of does. But it might pull away too many resources from this area in order to do it. And so we just kind of talk back and forth and figured out like, okay, well, maybe it's not going to pull that many resources away from it that we're thinking. So like, let's maybe go with it. And is it going to help build the business up farther? Is it going to add value to the bottom area?
Yeah.
And does it attach with everything else that we're already doing? So we totally do go through that. And like, but what's cool is like I see this all the time. People are like, oh, I have this great idea. They get started on it and they go for it for a little bit and they're like, oh, it didn't work. Like I'm done. I'm gone. Well, honestly, I think any idea can technically work.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you go with it long enough and understand how to get it into people's heads. But some ideas are going to be harder to get to people than others, and that's totally fine. But technically, you could almost get it to work. It's just whether or not you understand how to get it to work.
Yeah.
And people see that failure as like, it's just, I failed. I'm bad at this or whatever it is. Failures are the best learning freaking experiences out there. Like, I love it. I love failures because without failures, I would not be where I'm at today. Honestly, without all those failures of like, hey, I tried this and I sucked it up, or like it completely failed. Like put all this money into it and nothing. Well, now I know like I shouldn't go that route again with different things. Yeah. I've learned from that. So guys, I see too many people just quit. They're like, it didn't work. Like, I'm not good at this. Like, I'm done. I'm like, no, it's great. Like, keep going. Like, you'll figure it out.
Yeah, that's definitely a mindset shift that takes. And it took us a while to recognize that too, right? That is more like now we say failures are samples, right? It's like, ooh, like what sample did we gather here? What is it that we're going to use it for on the next experiment, right? But it is important where you're talking about like longevity in the game. I think it definitely plays a huge role that most people don't understand. I don't know if it is the culture that we live in now, but everybody wants the quick win, right? Like, what is the tactic to make $1 million in 7 days? It's like, bro, the tactic is to study and work hard for 5 years and then launch that campaign in 7 days that will make you that 7-figure business, right?
Overnight success.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's no such thing as that overnight success. It's just hard work for a long period of time and smart work, like you said, right? There are ways where you can put these ideas into people's head and they'll relate to it and it'll be easier to sell than other ideas. And that's, of course, that is part of the beauty of marketing and you know what you and Steve do on your side, which is, it's amazing. I have a few questions, but I feel my brother here is like has a few questions of himself too.
Not really a question. I think a comment on what you said on the ideas and how to take them to execution, right? And tying it down to the failure side of things, right? Like so here's a story. Like when we first started our first 45 Live, and you know, I'm talking about 45 Live because today we're actually opening up the group for the first time ever, and we have actually 50 people, as in right now, that want to take this journey with us, which we feel is very motivating. And at the same time, we're kind of a little bit freaking out here because that is like, we've never like ran, and I'm gonna be completely super transparent, and everybody that's in that group knows this is the first time that we opened something up like that for so many people, right? Like we always did the 45 Live internally.
Yeah, we're launching ugly, literally.
Yeah, and we're
ready, fire, aim.
Ready, fire, aim, baby, let's go. And we're so fortunate that people want to take, you know, and I think that was one of the points that attracted the audience the most, because we're being so vulnerable and so honest about this, and they're like, dude, don't worry, let's do this, like all together, right? And it's just a consistency plus accountability challenge. The first time that we did it, right, like we did it us internally, right? And I always share this story. I'm like, and I ask people, how many days do you think we lasted with the first 45 Live? So I'm asking you, I don't think I asked you that question, Coulton, but how many days do you think we lasted?
Ooh, on the first 45 Live?
Yeah.
I mean, I want to say 45, but I doubt it.
Thank you. So yes, the answer is not 45. Why do you say you doubt that it was not 45?
You know, typically as entrepreneurs, we have such a good vision for things and like don't quite understand how much actually goes into it. So we're like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, let's go. And then holy cow, that took way more than I thought it was going to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, part of the challenge was to execute without any friction, right? Because before that, we were trying to produce content and there was a ton of friction, as in production friction, you know, cameras, lights, like editing, blah, blah, blah. So we're like, we need to be consistent so we can practice our message because, we're following the words of Steve and Coulton and we're like, we need to publish, we need to be out there loud. So how we can remove the friction to be consistent. And even though we removed all that friction, we lasted 15 days. 15. But guess what? It's not the reason that most people think we lasted 15 days. It's because we actually got business out of it. We got traction, right? So even though we failed or we sampled at 15 days, right? We got massive results and we got probably the biggest client that we've ever had back then. And it was a learning experience, right? And then we did again season 2. And same thing happened. It was like day 17 and FONZI, because he was the one executing most of the processes at the time, he stopped because his capacity reached to a limit. And then I learned from the first lesson, I'm like, at least one of us is going to finish it, right, for XYZ. And all my videos were at 11:30. So that sample of the first version, right, that we technically for some people is like we failed, we didn't fail, we succeeded. We thought it was going to take us 45 days to get some business. It took 15, right? But some people might see that as a failure because we didn't execute, right? We just take it as a sample. Then the next time we completed the 45 days, same thing, same results. And now we're doing season 3, so we'll see what happens. But we're just collecting samples left and right to see where are those samples taking us, right? And without those stories, I don't think we would have had the amount of people, the amount of traction with now people joining that program and doing the same thing, right? So we gather that feedback so we can then execute. And thank you for allowing us to bring this example because it's so valuable to people. Go back and see at what you're doing. How are you taking action? What ideas are you grabbing and executing? And then if you fail, that's just an indicator that you're going the right path. Like, what is the next change you got to do to continue on that path? So that's just a comment I wanted to make. No, not really a question. So FONZI is the one with smart questions. So
no, and talking along the way. Oh yeah.
Can I say like 2 things real quick?
Oh yeah. You don't need to ask permission. You just jump in, Coulton.
Just do it.
No, you're good. So that whole smartphone business I did, everything I learned was from YouTube. Literally. I YouTubed all of it and I was on forums. Like I didn't pay a single person to learn what I did.
Yeah.
And there's so much information out there. If you want to know it, if you want to learn it, there's stuff out there, or there's courses as well that have really freaking awesome stuff in it and you can go there. Yeah. The second thing, the invisible ceiling. This one is it's such I think about it all the time. And a lot of people don't realize it's there until you bring it to attention. Every one of us has that invisible ceiling where we're at. And we kind of operate underneath that ceiling until we get to max capacity to where that ceiling's at, then we start to break. It's the same with business systems. If you follow Alex Sharfin, he talks about how every 0 to 100,000 has certain ceilings. 100,000 to like 500,000 has certain ceilings, then 5 to a million, then a million to 3, then a million to 3 million to 10. They all have that ceiling that you get to, and you have to switch or change systems in order to break through that ceiling and get to the next one. It's the same thing with us guys. Like I started with just a phone repair because that was my ceiling at the time. Yeah. That was where I was at, And if I would have gone in and I'm going to start an Amazon. That's not my ceiling, that's way, way farther than where I'm at right now. Yeah. But I kept it to where my ceiling was. And all I did was keep pushing through. How do I get to that next level there? I didn't realize I was doing it. Yeah. But I was. And I'm like, okay, I've done this. I know I can do that. What can I do now? What can I do that's a little bit farther? Where can I push it a little bit more? Absolutely. And as long as you're pushing that ceiling, it's life will continue to open up. Yes. That's the way it is.
Absolutely.
Is there a way to recognize when you're hitting that ceiling? When do you think people can tell themselves okay, I need to push harder now?
Yeah. So, a lot of times for me, it's okay, I'm getting the same results for a while now. and I'm not progressing like I should. And this is another thing that a lot of us do wrong that we should just stop doing. We go out and we try to learn everything about what we want to do, and we just like learn without executing anything.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so bad. Like I started my repair business on the first freaking class. Like I didn't even wait to like learn all the rest of them. And by the time I got to the rest of them, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. I've already like done that. I've figured it out.
Yeah.
You know? And I actually had a teacher that would have me get up and explain things to the class because I was in the middle of it. I was doing it, you know?
Yeah.
And he's like, Coulton, you're running this. Like, does this make sense to you? I'm like, oh yeah, totally. This is what I do. And he's like, come up here and tell us what you do. So I'd get up and like teach the class. Like,
wow.
But I'm in that class. Like I didn't wait to learn it.
Yeah.
I just started going, and then I learned it as I needed to.
Yeah.
But that's the problem with a lot of us. We're just trying to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just go do the first thing. Take your first step. You've heard Steve say this. Take that first step.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the second step until you get there, and just keep your eyes focused on the peak where you're heading to. That's just it.
Yeah, you know, like there's a saying that is knowledge is power that I feel like lately with of course, the amount of information that's out there, a lot of people really believe in that. And to a certain extent, I do believe, yes, knowledge is power, but I think action on that knowledge, that's the real power, right? Where we're actually doing the things and, you know, getting our hands dirty and taking action, right? Because we actually came up with this theory a few episodes ago. We call it the content learning paradox, if I'm not mistaken. And it is pretty much, you know, as you're consuming information, and this is something that I actually realized after looking internally, because I was that person that I'm still kind of are that I'm like, I love to learn. I'm like, oh, let me dig into this. And I just start investigating and reading, taking notes, everything, but not necessarily taking action, right? So the content learning paradox is, imagine a graph and you got one line going up consistently, and that is your knowledge. This is all the things that you're learning, right? And then there's another line, which is your motivation, that starts going up as well as you learn. So as you're learning new things, you start getting motivated, you start, you know, envisioning yourself doing these things, taking action, and then you keep learning and learning and learning instead of taking action. And there's a point where knowledge and motivation cross, right? At the peak of motivation. That's the perfect moment for you to take action, right? When you have, you know, certain basis of knowledge on what you're going to do. On your case, Coulton, was I learned how to repair my phone. Now I'm going to take action, right? For us was now we know how to edit and repurpose content. Now we can take action of it. But in that specific moment, if we decide to just keep consuming information, our motivation starts decreasing. Why? Because we get overwhelmed. Now there's so much things in our head that we're like, man, this is so much. How can I do this, right? And all these self-limiting beliefs starts popping up, and you're like, oh, wow, can I actually do that, right? Or now your to-do list is 100 items instead of one item, and your motivation, bam, just sink to the ground, and you never took action, right? So that is the content learning paradox, something like that. I need to check on the name.
No. I just want to do this because I feel it's the first time I listen to you so clearly. No. So clearly, you explained it right. And this is one of the things that Coulton, like, just so you know, like as a backstory, like we've talked about this like in the past week often, where it's like your ability to produce content consistently allows you to share these messages and these lessons repeatedly so you can get them tight and better. And, you know, last week for us was about the publishing pyramid, and now this. And you did a good job, FONZI.
Appreciate
good job.
it. Thank you.
Hopefully it resonated.
No, it did. Totally. Yeah.
Awesome.
With everybody else. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Okay. So here's, oh man, I'm loving this conversation. So along your journey, like personal and with Steve, right? Because you guys have been doing, you know, your thing for a while now, and you've taught a ton of people. You've inspired a lot of people to actually take action, us being one of those. And what have been some of the challenges? And after this, I'll share some of our story on how we were able to actually finally take action. But like, what are some of the challenges that you've seen with, you know, your community, your students, the people that join your programs on taking action, and the difference between grabbing some traction and, you know, create that momentum, create those results versus the ones that don't?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Interestingly enough, so we have an MLM product that we teach stuff in, and it's really funny. Like, it's not an MLM. We just teach in the MLM industry. But what's funny is, like, I've gone in there and I would do a lot of lives with those guys, and explain things and help people out in there. And Steve did a ton of lives in there, just trying to help people and help them, you know, be successful with whatever they're doing in their MLM. And it's funny because it kind of translates. I see it throughout almost the rest of everybody else too in our following. Those who are successful literally just have a mentality of, I'm just going to get started. I'm going to start running and I'll figure it out along the way. Like, teach me, I'll learn the things I need to as I go. The ones who aren't typically successful are the ones who are like, I need to know everything. I need to understand everything before I can get started. And it's that same content curve that you were just talking about. Like, it's the exact same thing. Like, they're like, they're just getting so much content and so much knowledge and they're learning so many things. And then they start to decline on their motivation. And it's the same thing. Like, guys, when I started my repair business, I didn't even know how to start an LLC. Like, I had no idea. Like, I'm like, I don't know. I just started doing it under the table, like, honestly.
Yeah.
Now, I won't say any numbers or anything, but like, I did it under the table for a little bit until I was like, oh, I need a business license. Let me go get a business license.
Yeah.
Whatever, you know?
Yeah.
It's funny how that works. But like, if I would have gone and like understood everything about the LLC, how to like set them up and how it all runs, like, I would have never started it. Because I'm like, this is so much. Like, nah, just go out and test the market.
Yeah.
See if you get some people with it, and then figure it out along the way. Like, get it running.
Yeah.
But it's so many people, like, they're like, well, I just don't know if it can be successful in my area. And I'm like, well, it's not, because you believe that it's not going to be successful in your area. It's not going to be successful. But then I talk to somebody else and like, I can totally do this. And they go out and start doing stuff and they make it happen. It's the same area, but it's just a different way to look at it.
Yeah.
I know that's,
No. I love it, because earlier last week I saw a quote from Elon Musk, right? I think he was like, he joined the Clubhouse rooms and he was like, he exploded the Clubhouse app. And one of the questions they asked him was like, hey, what would you say to an entrepreneur that needs kind of motivation to keep going? And his answer was like, if I need to say something to motivate that person, he's better off not being an entrepreneur, something like that. I totally butcher it, but that's the thing, right? Like, the people that go out and execute, right? Like, are the ones that are going to make the difference. And yes, I mean, this could cause X amount of arguments about, you know, motivation and people, blah, 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 you know, but at the end of the day, I mean, today, the amount of information that's out there available and the amount of social proof and proof of whatever you want to do, like, you see success stories everywhere. I feel like if you want motivation, it's there for you, right? But if you don't take action and you don't execute, right, you're never going to get there. So at some degree, I totally agree with him, right? And we've been in both ends, man. Like, we've been like sitting down looking for motivation, and we've have a very specific, you know, thought process about motivation. But it was to take action. Like, take the event that you guys did. What was it? September 2019, Offermind, right? At the time we came to you guys, we came to that event. That year was completely bonkers for us, right? Like, January, we had such a hard time investing $100 to go to the 10X conference in Miami, right? We were driving our parents back from Miami and we're like, man, we saw the billboard and we're like, should we invest $100 for like nosebleed like seats? And we argued for like about 4 hours, and then we're like, whatever, let's do it, right? $100, right? And you know, it was tight maybe at the moment, but we didn't see it as an investment, right? And then, okay, we invested $100. We go to the conference. We met some amazing people. We invested in other programs. Like, we invested in Jesse Itzler at the time, the Build Your Life Resume program, and it helped us big time. It helped us connect with a ton of people that were doing amazing things as well. And then it evolves, and then we invest in the One Funnel Away Challenge, right? Another $100. There we met Steve. through that whole journey, right? Like, I can't remember now exactly, but I think it was like a bonus for the Offer Mine program that if we bought, then we will go to the event. So
no, he did the live launch.
The live launch.
He did like the 5 days in a row, and then if we would, I think it was like an Offer Mine masterclass, and it came with a ticket for the live event.
Exactly. So then that happens, right? And Fonzi's calling me like, dude, we should do this. And I'm like, how much is it? And I think it was like $1,000 each. And we're like, oh, we invested 100 and we did the math and we got results. And we're like, okay, if we invest this, it's gonna help us take action, right? Like, because for us, it was very, very painful. Maybe we didn't have that money at the time. And it was like, okay, we're just gonna have to come up with a way to invest it, right? So we did. And then we ended up, we have to fly to Boise, which is in the complete opposite side of the country for us. We're in Florida. We're like, okay, how are we going to actually afford that, right? And along the way we figured out how to do this. And for us, it took form of you guys, your event. But I'm sure for other people listening, that might take shape in other events or other stuff. So we end up getting there. The Friday that before your event, I quit my job. Like, that was the last day. I was at my job. I took literally a $40,000 personal loan to be able to finance my next 8 months to do BIZBROS. And we're like, that was like probably one of the most scariest things in my life. But at the same time, my wife was fully on board. She's like, dude, I believe in you. Go ahead, do it. Fonzi was there, busting his booty, working real hard. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. Whatever happens. I'll assume any consequences. Most people are like, you're insane. You're crazy. Well, whatever. So we go there with, $40,000 in debt, personal debt, right? And we get to this event. Incredible event. So props to you guys. It was the atmosphere was amazing. The people that you brought up was incredible, right? Yeah. Obviously along the lines of what we wanted and what we learned. And then you guys throw that offer for your big event, right? Offer Lab. And as you guys were talking about that offer, we're like, how much is this, right? And
we were trying to guess how much it was.
and we're like, oh man, if it's like $5,000, no brainer. Like, well, I have some cash in there, for my loan. We just reassign it, blah, blah, blah. Well, the whole thing, I think it was like $25,000 when you guys launched the offer.
Yeah. Like as the pitch was going, we were like, there's no way.
There's no way.
There's like $8,000. It's like $10,000. It's like more than 10. What? Like, our minds, so you get an idea. Like, we have never operated at that level before. We had never seen or invested in ourselves in such a level that for us, it was literally
unthinkable.
Yeah, unfathomable. I don't know if that's the word.
Yeah.
But it was just like, no way. Like, this type of investment doesn't exist if it is not for a car.
for the elites, right? And we never thought in those terms, right? And the reason I'm saying these numbers is because they meant so much to us. Like, for us, it was very unachievable, right? And I'm like, man. But by the same time, we saw the track record of the things that we did and the things that we invested. And because we took action, right? Because it was painful, that investment was like, man, like, this is it. And I think I talked to it with Steven in one of the conversations that we had, was like, we put ourselves between the sword and the wall, dude. Like, if I don't move, like, I'll die. Like, legit, like, we have to execute, right? So we recognize that if we put ourselves in that situation, we have to execute, right? So we went to lunch, like, we couldn't eat because we were thinking about this thing, right? We come back, and then, Myron takes the stage, and he said some very powerful things, right? That is like inside of us. That's what it takes, right, to take action. I remember going out and grabbing that form, and at the moment we have no idea how we're gonna pay for this thing, right? Like, I was like, there's no way I'm gonna put the $25,000 like right now, because then I won't eat for the next 8 months, right? And we had we had somewhat of a business, like, we had no proven like processes, like, we have no team, no nothing. And then they go like, go find Coulton, right? And I came to you, and I don't know if you remember this moment, but I was like, dude, I don't know how I'm gonna pay for this.
Your deep voice, call my brother Coulton.
And I think it was like a $2,000 like first down payment, and then it was like a credit application to do the payment plan, right? And I'm like, man, like, even that was like so scary. And you're like, dude, don't worry, we'll figure it out, right? And it goes to what we've said before this. We'll figure it out along the way. And for me, that was like a very hard moment. Like, I think for Fonzi too, right? And we invested, right? But guess what? The difference was that we took action, because the second that investment was done, we're like, we need to pay attention. We need to execute, because guess what? If we don't do it, then game over. And that's why, we give credit to that experience, because it allows us, it allowed us to take action every week, taking in the information, go execute, receive feedback, come back, right? And I think that's what a lot of people miss from a free program to a very high-end coaching program. Like, I think that's the difference, right? Because you could have very incredible like free content, but if you don't take action, it's going to be the same result that if you invest a ton of money and you don't take action, right? And along the way, right? I think the promise was a funnel. We got our funnel, but I think I told you the other day we haven't used that funnel, because all the principles and the things that we got by taking action got us traction, got us momentum, and we found out what the audience wanted, and we've been able to build a business. And now we have a team of 8 people with us that are incredible, that send FONZI these amazing t-shirts, and they execute every day for our clients and our stuff, and the progress has been redunculous.
That's awesome.
So publicly I just want to say thank you, right? And then I'm sure there's other investments and other coaches and so on, but it summarizes the experience.
Yeah, that event, just to add a little tad bit here, Sir Coulton, is that event just gave us so much confidence, and it created this belief in us that it was like, you know what, like, we can do this, and that's all it takes, really, is having. I mean, you can find that belief yourself and confidence, but if you can find that environment, that community, group of people that are going to be there with you and help you offer the support and accountability, right? Like, there's nothing better than that. Now you're believing in yourself, and you have someone else that is right next to you believing in yourself as well. Yeah. And that for us was extremely powerful. So, yeah, I definitely second everything that my brother said. Coulton, thank you so much.
Dude, Coulton, what's
awesome.
Oh, thank you, man. What's a good, recommendation, action point for people to get momentum, right? Like people that might be in this place of starting off, there's a lot of noise out there. They don't really, how do they find that, right? Like what is something that they can do today to start getting those successes and continue to implement along the way?
That's a great question. For me personally, it's just a matter of, like I was saying earlier, I don't just learn everything and anything because it's overwhelmed, when I'm like, okay, I'm stuck in this place, I go to the source of who's the next best, or who's the top of that, whatever that means. And we either hire them or I find their content and I devour their content. And it's funny, you guys were like, you guys said something about being at the event, how it changed your beliefs and how it changed who you guys were to be able to believe that you could do what you were able to do, right? Why do you think we put testimonials on everything?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and if you don't have testimonials on whatever you're doing, you are losing a ridiculous amount of money because you're not helping people see or change their belief to, hey, you know what? That guy did it. I could do it. I mean, if that guy did it and this guy did it and that guy did it, Dan Henry is like the best at this.
Yes.
If you follow his email list, like I remember when I first signed up for his Facebook ads for entrepreneurs like 5 years ago. I was like, I just want to see what this guy's about. I wasn't even interested in Facebook ads. Like it wasn't even on my radar, but I was like reading his emails and he was like, oh, check this dude out. He came in, had nothing, did all this stuff, and now he has 6 clients paying him like $3,000 a piece each. And I'm like, what the crap? Like, he just did all these testimonials, and it changed my belief so much just watching that.
I want to add to that, like the pre-call, because we jumped on calls with his team to kind of figure out the journey, right? The pre-call prep is incredible. It's literally a booklet full of testimonials on how they frame it. I think it's genius. And we did not sign up to the program, full disclosure, then, because first I don't think it was the fit for what we needed to do and take action then. But I felt bad. Like and I told FONZI, like I jumped off that call feeling bad that I didn't sign up. And I was like, Before I jumped on the call, because the objective was like to go through the process, right? And then if you're listening, I'm sorry, brother, but I'm sure we're gonna work together and we're gonna enjoy the yacht at some point together. But I was like, we went through that, and I told Fonzie with all my heart, I'm like, do not say no, because it's not the focus right now. It might be later, right? But I feel so horrible. I jumped off the call. I'm like, dude, I feel so guilty from not signing up, because the whole process was that, like, it changed my belief along the way, and it's so powerful. So, just adding to what you just what you just said, incredible experience too on that.
Mm-hmm. So let me explain a little bit about how action happens.
Yeah.
Because I dive into this a lot, and ever since I was probably 21 is when I learned this kind of framework that literally changed my life. Funny enough, though, before that, I think I naturally was kind of a person that just saw things as I can do whatever I want. I can do anything if I really want to.
Yeah.
And there was plenty of things where I'm like, I can't do that because there's no way I'm going to actually want to do that. Like, there's no way it's going to happen, because that does not sound fun,
Yeah.
But there was things I knew I could do. And a couple quick stories. I remember my first paintball gun that I bought. Like, I had paintball guns before that, but I bought a brand new one. It's the first time I bought a brand new one. I was so stoked. I was like 12, I'm like all excited to get my new paintball gun. So I go paintball with my buddies and stuff. And it came in the mail. I remember the day coming home from school. It was at the front door. I'd waited like 5 grueling days of like shipping, like, when is it going to be here? And I get home from school and I'm like, it's here. I'm all excited. The first thing I did was literally take it to my room. I opened it up and I disassembled the entire thing. Like, just completely took it apart. Like, I needed to know how it worked.
Yeah. Because
my thought was, if I'm in paintballing and it breaks on me, I need to know how to fix it. Because if I don't know how to fix it, my day's over.
Yeah.
It happens all the time. So I completely disassemble it. No thought of like, am I actually going to be able to put this back together? Just like, I can do this. I got it. And my dad walks in and he's like, whoa, what are you doing? And I'm like, I need to know how it works. So I took it apart. And he's like, okay, well, I hope you can get it back together. And I was like, crap, maybe I don't know how to get it back together. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't really cross my mind until then. But he placed that like doubt in me. Funny enough, though, I was able to get it back together and I knew how it worked. But I'm like, man, I got that, And pretty soon I was like, I would rebuild our four-wheelers. I would build four-wheelers. Like, I just did that stuff because I'm like, I can't be that hard. Like, I can figure it out. And I learned a lot along the way that I didn't know and I had to figure out. It was like, crap, I don't know what happened here.
Yeah.
So like, it was just a matter of, I believed I could do things, so I did them.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't believe they can actually accomplish something, so they don't. Testimonials switch that belief. But here's why it switches the belief. Every action we take is dependent on a belief. So all the actions you guys are taking are dependent on a belief or a principle that you guys have inside your head right now. And it's the same thing for me. What's cool about it is not all of my beliefs are correct.
Yeah.
And the moment you realize that not all of your beliefs are correct is the moment you realize, wait a second, should I be doing something different? Should I be thinking a different way? Should I be questioning this belief? Because most people go through life with whatever their parents taught them, whatever they learned growing up from their friends that didn't know anything. That's true. That's the truth that I have. That is my belief and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah.
But you're learning from broke people. And you're taking their beliefs as true, but they're broke. So like, why is that actually a true belief? Now, we all take the action based off of what that is. So funny enough, all of our beliefs stem from 4 basic human needs. And I'm going to go through this real quick.
Yes.
I think I've maybe, I don't know if you guys saw this in the Offer Lab when I did it live in there one time, but I haven't done it live enough because it is huge. We all need to live, right? So when you see, if somebody comes at you with a knife or a gun, you're going to run. Like, you need to live. And your belief is, if I see somebody with a knife or some kind of weapon, I need to run. in order to live, right? So that's the number one basic. To love and be loved is number two. If we're not loved and be loved, then that's going to be some hard life right there.
Yeah.
Number three is to experience variety. Figure that one out. That's an interesting one. It's why we all wear different things. That's why we all have different stuff. That's why we like to experience different, just in general, different stuff. That's why I put a different t-shirt on every day.
Yeah.
Like variety. I can't wear the same thing every day. That's not, anyway.
Yeah.
And then the last one, which is really interesting, is to feel important. And if you don't have that one's actually a really big one. That one's, if you don't have that, then you've got some issues, or you're going to have a really bad life. It's going to be hard, essentially.
Yeah.
And that's why we all do different things we do, so that we can feel important for ourselves. Now, all of these drive all of the beliefs we have in front of us. And I always talked about it as a belief window. You see the world through this belief window, and you accept information in through the belief window. And on this window is etched all of your beliefs. Now, funny enough, so that window is bridged to an action. So when we have these beliefs, if you believe X, then you will do Y. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If you believe something, then the action will be blank. But what the most important thing is the result we get from that action. And if that action is going to meet all of our 4 basic human needs, I can't even count 4.
Yeah.
If that action is going to meet all 4 of our basic human needs over time. Because sometimes it meets it right then in the moment, but it won't meet it over time.
Yeah.
And so some people think, well, I need to meet it now, and that's why they lie or they cheat or they do something different, because they need it now, but they don't really care about the result down the road. So that's a belief causes that action. So funny enough, when you guys are teaching stuff, or when you're trying to sell a product or a course, it doesn't matter what you're selling. If you're not changing the belief, the action will never be different.
Yeah.
To come and buy. And when you attack actions, you never change the belief. So how do you change beliefs? Do you guys, how would you guys change a belief?
Stories,
yeah. I mean, testimonials
Prove
are
that over other people.
I feel like testimonials are, obviously stories in itself. And fun fact, one of the testimonials that actually helped a lot our case in OfferLab was Jeromy's testimonial.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That was the drop that kind of helped. Overflow the cup, and we're like, done. That's it. We saw him. We saw his video, and we're like, we identify really, and we told him that, like in OfferLab the first time we saw him, we're like, dude, Jeromy, thank you, because the story that you told, and and it was a story / testimonial, right? It was both things.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. That one's a good one, because he's like, this is where I was at a year ago.
Yeah.
This is where I'm at now, and you're like, whoa, like in a year, like that's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Super interesting.
Yeah.
So you guys say stories. Yes, stories are the way to change beliefs, but why do stories change beliefs? That's the group. That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah.
And you'll hear Russell, why, like, tell stories, change beliefs through story. Just always tell the stories with the Epiphany Bridge script. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, read Expert Secrets.
Yes.
It's in there. Really good stuff. And the reason stories change beliefs is because stories are the basis of any belief. Now, the belief is attached to a certain story. So in order to change that belief, you have to change out the story. Well, how do you change out the story? By telling other stories. But the thing is you can't just tell one story and automatically change it out and change that belief, right? It has to be powerful enough to change out the old story.
Yeah.
So in order to create a long-term memory, you have to combine knowledge and emotion. That's huge.
I like
so
that.
If you guys can find a way to create emotion in your stories that is a greater emotion than the previous emotion, you can change that story, which will then change the belief, which then changes the action. Interesting stuff. Huh? So like that was kind of that was kind of deep into it right there.
That was good.
Really, all you need to know is tell really good stories about how something did something for whatever your product is, and that can help change the beliefs for people that are following you to then take action.
Yes.
To buy.
You guys just got the Golden Boulder bong.
Yeah. Again, once again.
Yeah, once again.
Yes.
Yeah, and if you're listening, go back and re-listen. I think it was like from the minute 53 on the audio. It's like the 4 core beliefs and then the whole explanation. I think that's just a masterclass on its own. So thank you, Coulton, dude. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, no problem.
This is definitely super, super valuable. We're going to have to clip this part and share it in the Content is Profit group. So if you guys want to check out this part, just go and join the Content is Profit group.
Go there. Dude, Coulton.
That's awesome.
Thank you again, man.
That's
Thank
why
you for
we do events the way we do.
Yes. Absolutely.
It changes your beliefs, changes your action. Yep.
Yeah. As you were saying this right now, like a thought popped into my head that was, there are products out there and services that they sell you by aligning with your current beliefs, right? Mm-hmm. But the difficult part for digital marketers and people that sell services that are going to improve people's life, right? That they need the person to work in themselves to, change something in their lives. Like, that's what makes it difficult. That's why it makes it a difficult space to go into. And honestly, probably not that many people succeed is because we're going against certain beliefs that people might have at the time, right? We are trying to literally rewire, in a sense, some of their thoughts and beliefs so they can perform better and they can do better and they can live in a better way, right? So it was interesting because in my mind, I was like, well, yes, there are businesses that they sell a lot, but are they actually making a difference, right? And by just aligning with people beliefs, and I'm going to give you an example. My brother recommended the book Hate Inc. not too long ago, a few days back. So I've been listening to it. And it talks about how media, that's what they've been doing lately, is just reinforcing a belief on a side, right? And just reinforcing it so much. So that's...
Well, first, how they created that environment.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. But again, they're just reinforcing those beliefs. Yeah. And people just... Okay, they just keep going there because it's like, oh, it aligns with exactly what I think. But in the space that where we are, right, if we want to change those, we want, again, people to have better lives and live their life at their fullest, we need to change some of those core beliefs. And that is a painful process. It's a difficult process. So it was interesting because I want people to think about that on, okay, am I actually telling the right stories, or am I in the field where I want actually people to be better, right? Personally, I think that's the field that we love to be in, you know, see people succeed and see people grow beyond what they currently are.
Yeah. Oof. Wow,
that's awesome.
That was
I love
good.
it, guys. Yeah.
I can smell it's burning. So good. So just so good. All right. Dude, Coulton, I think this is my favorite question. Last question of the show is, where will you guys be if you did not publish?
Oh, man. That is such a good question. We would definitely not be anywhere near where we are now. That's just the truth. That's the way it is. Let me give you an example of how important publishing is. For that product, that MLM product, we shut it down. We shut down ads. We shut down everything. It's $1,000 product, and we completely shut it down. And it continued to sell almost $1,000 a day for a year.
Wow.
All because of publishing. Let me just reiterate that. We published a ton before we even launched it. I think Steve published like 60 or 70 episodes on a podcast about him building the product, and then published another, I don't know, I think there's like 100 and something episodes on there, and then stopped, like just completely cut it off. Had a ton of YouTube videos on there. Yeah. Created a ton of content for it, and then just cold turkey stopped. And it continued to bring in almost $1,000 a day, literally, like without doing anything.
Wow.
And that's just publishing. That's the way it was. And honestly, our email list right now, I think with unsubscribes and stuff, we have like over 100,000 people. Like it's a pretty big list.
Yeah.
And we would not have near that much if we just didn't publish and have people joining our list because of the what we published.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Literally every podcast, every YouTube video, it all pushes to, hey, go get this free thing or go get that thing. Just put in your email and you'll get it for free. And people all day long, like we get 30 people a day signing up for something new.
Wow.
Just because of content, literally just because of that. So if we didn't publish, we would not have that list. We wouldn't have a following. We would not have pretty much any of this. Like it would be really hard, really difficult to do.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Well,
just to give you an idea.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Yes, absolutely. And I hope, if you're listening, if you're watching right now, start, like, go at it, like, go be loud. We learned that from these guys. I don't think we're as loud as we can be. Like, every day we work to be louder and be present and add value to people's lives so we can do this. So Coulton, this is one of the ways that we do it, and thank you so much for sharing your message and your stories, man.
And if you're listening to this right now, we're probably halfway or somewhere in there doing the 45 Live Season 3. But if you want to be a part of 45 Live Season 4, because it's going to happen,
Yes.
please slide into the DMs at BIZBROS Co, Facebook, Instagram, or you can go and join the awesome Content is Profit group in Facebook.
Ooh, baby.
We're going to be having a blast in there.
Yes. Dude, Coulton, where can people find you? Where can people connect with you? Anywhere you want to send them?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to find stuff we do with Steve, stevejlarsen.com is a great one to kind of go through for the hub. We've got, I just search Steve Larsen. You'll find lots of stuff, especially on YouTube or podcasts. There's some good ones there. If you want to find me, I'm typically just on Instagram. I really like Instagramming. And I think my handle is just Coulton.Woods. Pretty sure.
We'll leave the links at the bottom. We'll do some research in there, make sure we get the right links. We'll put them at the bottom. Everybody, please go check them out. All the links, one by one. Open all your tabs in your computer and then hit follow on each one of them.
Yes. Dude, Coulton, like I said, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you want to add that we might have missed?
No, I mean, that was amazing. I feel like I was able to get a lot out, and I enjoyed the conversation. You guys are freaking awesome and keep killing it. I love seeing your story.
Thank you, Coulton. Thank you. We
man.
really appreciate all the value. And before we leave, I actually want to add a little tangent here, a little idea for your idea repertoire. And it is that, Coulton, you should start one of those apps that tell you stories at night to put people to sleep, and just read all these stories with your voice, And dude, I think it'll be a hit. Just throwing it out there, but.
Putting everybody to sleep? Is that what you're saying right now?
No. I'm just saying the tone of your voice, is perfect for that. Or you can pitch it to like Discovery Channel and do their commentary for Planet Earth and all that stuff.
Boom. Because I think when we see you in a week and a half or soon, that idea has to be on the board. Just saying. Awesome.
Black Ops with that.
Black Ops
definitely doesn't align with the business.
All right, guys. With that said, thank you so much for tuning into the Content is Profit podcast. Go ahead and subscribe. Smash that subscribe button and follow us on social media at BIZBROS Co.
That is right. And if you find this episode impactful and you want to arm wrestle Coulton, please don't forget to share this episode and leave a 5-star review. Thank you.
Bye, guys.